Sunday morning again, in time for Senior Circle on 1310 KFK, Greeley, Colorado. We broadcast from the fabulous CRP 4x4 studios at 1310 KFKA. My name is Gil Moon, and I'm your host for Senior Circle and Golden Years Theater every Sunday evening from 6 until 10. We're brought to you by those wonderful folks over at Columbine Health Systems, caring for seniors in both Loveland and Fort Collins since 1971, and now open in Windsor at the corners of 15th Street in Maine. Please remember that at Columbine, your family. Hey, I want to thank the people over there at Westwood Patio Homes. Betty and I went over there for a barbecue last Thursday. Would we have a good time?
Oh, yes.
Weren't they great?
Oh, those are beautiful. I love them.
Yeah, there's only 4 of them left.
I know.
They're all leased. I mean, there are very few of them left, too. And, they have we were over there for the opening for the ones over there at Columbine Patio Homes in Fort Collins. They're at Torino Circle and Worthington.
Yes.
We had a good time over there that day, didn't we?
I love both of those places. And they're different. That's
right, because the ones over in Windsor are the mid-century modern, the Eichler type.
Yes, Eichler.
And then the ones over in Fort Collins are the craftsman homes, and they're just so beautiful. Everything included. You really should go take a look at them. I think they have 10 or 11 of them left, which is not many considering I think they started with 34. And so both of them are selling, are leasing because they lease them.
They're beautiful.
They really are.
If you
nice.
haven't gone to see them, you should, because they're really unique, and they have thought of all the really unique things that I love in a house.
Yes,
okay?
They have the patios in the front or the pergolas in the back. It was wonderful. That's my lovely wife, Betty. She's my co-host this morning in the first hour of Senior Circle, and she comes around every month and does something with us, don't you?
Hello, everyone out there. I didn't say hello to everyone.
I always say she's my first wife. We're brought to you by the 50-Plus Marketplace News, the #1 monthly publication for those of us in the over 50 crowd. We're brought to you, too, by Fair Acres Manor, right here in Greeley, where they put the home back in nursing home. Those people have been with us for over 14 years. All of them have been. Columbine's been with us for the entire 15 years, and so is 50-Plus Marketplace. And Fair Acres came in very shortly thereafter. So we're happy to have these wonderful sponsors. Also, we're very happy to have Mosier Funeral and Cremation Services, locally owned and operated, and honoring the achievements of your loved ones and celebrating the life you shared together. Scott Mosier was with us last week. He was the second hour co-host.
Yeah.
You like Scott. You and Scott get along just great, don't you?
Yes, we do.
We've had some great conversations. They have a wonderful things to offer over there at Mosier Funeral and Cremation Service. Honey, he told me that they're going to have an open house again here in October, so they'll be inviting us to come over again.
Okay, well, we'll go. We'll be there.
Garden Square Assisted Living and Memory Care, creating environments where moments of joy, independence, and wellness are the focus of each and every day. The Bridge Assisted Living in Greeley, the Goldilocks of assisted living, not too big, not too small, but just right. And Sue Ann Swetzig is going to be with us in the second hour this morning, and she's brought a guest with her. We're going to have a really good time because Sue Ann, we always have a good time over the bridge as well, don't we?
Yes, Sue Ann is so much fun.
And how about our newest sponsor, Windsong Memory Care? Windsong at Northridge, a brand new Montessori-inspired memory care community located right here in northern Colorado. And we're relatively familiar with Montessori because our son David was a Montessori Sullivan Tiger at Stanford University when we lived out on the coast.
Yes, he was.
How you been, buddy?
I'm just fine.
We had a nice drive in this morning. We were thinking that, wow, this is getting to be fall. It's really beautiful out there.
Yeah, it's starting to be cool at night, dropping down cool, and cool in the morning when you get up, and that's kind of fun.
We have a cat that likes to sit on the bottom of our beds, and recently he's been cuddling up behind Betty's legs because it has been a little cool in the last couple of days. We have a very special guest this morning, and he's been waiting patiently to be on the show and to be on with me this morning. Good morning, Gil.
Good morning.
There's 2 Gils in the room now, so I guess we're going to call Gil A and Gil M. Will that work for you?
Sure.
I'm going to try and get your name right now. So, Gil Atanasoff.
Yep, you got it.
Got it the first time,
you
right?
Did.
He is the owner and executive director of an organization called Senior Helpers. First of all, tell us a little about yourself, Gil.
Sure. I'm fairly new to Colorado here. I just relocated about 15 months ago, originally from Wisconsin. Go Packers. Sorry, Broncos fans.
You been up to Madison?
Yeah, actually, I prior to coming out here, I ran a Senior Helpers in Madison, which happened. Yeah.
Did you ever get to Kenosha?
Yeah. Geez, small world. My family still lives in Kenosha. That's where I grew up until I was 18.
Well, Orson Welles was born in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Really? Yeah.
And his home, his father was a rather brilliant man, I think, for his time. He had so many accomplishments, as did Orson, but there's so many things. But I used to do a one-man show where I played Orson Welles, and I spent, would you guess, 40 years studying everything I could about him, and I still read all the time with his. At any rate, he was born there, and they now have a plaque on the home because it sits there. It's right off of Park Avenue. And it's a beautiful place. It's in very good condition, and apparently it's been taken care of all the years. But he was, born in 1915, and his father had owned the house since 1912. So.
Oh, well, I'll have to go back and
you
check
should,
that plaque
because
out. Yeah.
I understand that they give tours. It's not. I don't know that it's a not national anything, but
I don't know either, but if you do, or when you do, because you'll go home.
Sure,
'cause
yeah.
it's
My
home.
parents still live there. Yeah.
Okay, well, you have to take pictures.
send it to Gil.
I will. I will.
You know, he not to get too far off the track here, but then he moved to his parents divorced when he was 6, and they moved to Chicago. His mother took him to Chicago, but he was at the Todd School for Boys in Woodstock, Illinois, and they have a huge museum there, and they've named a theater after him, which is kind of a big deal there. But he spent most of his life, I mean, in connection with Roger Hill and his wife there. Nevertheless, so you come from Wisconsin. That must have been a big change for you, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you know, what I really like is Madison and where I live now is Fort Collins. A couple of things that I really enjoy, or I think that are similar, is you've got the state-run university,
Certainly.
so CSU and then University of Wisconsin-Madison. So that's a great connection.
College town.
Oh, yeah,
a
UNC
great
here.
college town. And then, right.
Yeah, I went to college here when it was Colorado State College.
Okay, yep, and with UNC here too in Greeley is outstanding, and just the people. I mean, people are very genuine, friendly, do what they say they're going to do. I think that's a big thing that I really enjoyed both about Madison and now here in northern Colorado. Is
how long have you lived in Fort Collins?
Just been there for about 15 months now.
Oh, okay. Well, we live in Fort Collins too. We're up at Southridge. We
Oh.
just live up the street there. Oh, not too far. I don't know exactly where you're at, but we lived over at Worthington and Gunnison. We were there for almost 30 years, and we moved over here. We moved over in '89, and we retired from Intel and came over here.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
So, tell me about what was you had a senior helpers organization in
helpers.
Madison?
Yeah,
Or, I'm sorry, in Madison.
right. In Madison, Wisconsin, I was the executive director there, so I worked for somebody else. And after a couple of years, I decided, I think it's time to make some different changes, and also thought, well, let me take a chance and hang my own shingle.
Are they
if
a
you will.
franchise?
It is. It's part of a national franchise, but we're all locally owned and operated. So I'm the local owner here in northern Colorado, and we have our main office in Fort Collins, as well as right here in Greeley, actually just around the corner. It's
Just
a couple
around the
blocks
corner,
away.
see, yeah.
Yep.
So you've been to Professionals for Seniors. Actually, that's where I met you, wasn't it?
It is, yep. I've been there for, I think the Johnstown meeting we just had was my official 1-year anniversary.
Well, we're so
that
happy
group.
to have you come to that, and you will learn very quickly that in the senior community, we have no competitions. Everybody goes to those meetings, and the next thing you know, they're working together to try to do whatever's right for an individual's situation or whatever. Like we were talking about Mike McGuire, and Homestead was really the founder in getting that thing started. I was at that meeting when they started, from last week. But I think you have an opportunity there to learn, and it looks like you already have, how coordinated and almost a family-like community we have in the senior services community in northern Colorado. And I'm really proud to be part of it.
And if you have a problem, then you can go to someone else who might do everywhere else people would look at them as competition, and yet you say, I have a problem and I don't know, where can I go to solve this issue? Well, you can go to a competitor sometimes and find out how they handled this issue, or how
really
they
great.
got around a problem, or
Absolutely.
how they solved it. That's what's really nice. That's
a
what
key
I
thing.
think.
That's a key thing, is that community as well in the senior community.
Yeah.
It's all about helping people.
It is.
And it doesn't matter what your name badge says or if who you're talking to is
And
technically a
in the
direct
year
competitor.
you've been coming, I've seen you at several of the meetings there, and I've noticed that you are a participant. You do take time to get around to talk to everybody.
Okay.
But I've also heard on a time or two that you have offered your services, and that's really kind of nice because you fell right into it and enjoyed it. Tell us about senior helpers. I have a little bit of information, but start from the beginning and tell us how they get started.
Yeah, tell everyone else out there, what kind of help do you offer? I mean, because that's
Sure, absolutely.
what you really want to get out there. What do you do for people?
Yeah, great.
What help do you offer?
Absolutely. So we provide in-home care primarily for the elderly, although not exclusively. The name sometimes can be a little misleading, being senior helpers, but really anybody that may need some assistance to their home, wherever they may call home. We can do things that's typically non-medical in nature, so it may be things as simple as light housekeeping, laundry, grocery shopping, those kinds of things, as well as personal care. So if it's helping with bathing and showering, getting dressed in the morning, getting ready for bed in the evening, and everything in between. And so it can be set up, we can be there round the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or it can be as little or as much as you need us. So it can be transportation once a month to doctor's appointments and everything in between.
Now, You're connected with the one here in Greeley as well as the one in Fort Collins?
Yep, it's one. So I'm the owner of Senior Helpers of Northern Colorado, which includes basically all of Larimer County and
well, that
Weld
was my
County.
next question. Your geographic area of influence is all the way around. So everybody who's listening right now could actually give you a call, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yep, and happy to help. And even if you call us and it's not the right thing, like you said, we're in the business of helping people. So if we can help connect you with someone else that might be a better fit, we're happy to do that as well.
Where would they call you?
So our main number is 970-658-8228, and we answer that phone round the clock, 7 days a week. Nights, weekends, doesn't matter. Someone's always available to answer.
Would you repeat that number for me, please, Gil?
Sure, absolutely. It's 970-658-8228.
How many people have you run into with the name Gil spelled with one L?
Other than the professional baseball player from the 60s, I think he's about the only other person.
Well, let me tell you, there's a third one, and his name is Gil Moon, our fourth one, I guess, and I'll tell you that story when we come back. You're listening to Senior Circle on 1310 KFK. We're here every Sunday morning from 7 until 9 a.m. Stay with us if you can. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Senior Circle here on 1310 KFK in Greeley, Colorado. We broadcast from the fabulous CRP 4x4 studios at 1310 KFKA. Name of the show is Senior Circle. We're here every Sunday morning from 7 until 9 a.m. So happy to have you with us. My name is Gil Moon. I'm your host for Senior Circle and Golden Year Seder every Sunday evening from 6 until 10. We're brought to you by Windsong Memory Care. Windsong at Northridge, a brand new Montessori-inspired memory care community with 2 locations in northern Colorado. Windsong at Northridge in Greeley, Colorado, and Windsong at Rock Creek in Fort Collins. We're brought to you by The Bridge, assisted living in Greeley, the Goldilocks of assisted living, not too big, not too small, but just right, and Mosier Funeral and Cremation Services, locally owned and operated, honoring the achievements of your loved ones and celebrating the life you shared together. My co-host this hour is Betty Moon, my wife of 52 years. So happy to have you with us, Betty.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here.
Also happens to be a board member over at RSVP of Weld County. And our special guest this morning in this first half hour is Gil Atanasoff.
Yep, you've got it.
3 times I got it right. He's the owner and executive director of Senior Helpers here in northern Colorado. Offices in both Fort Collins and Greeley. Good morning again. So happy to have you with us.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
I'd like to have an opportunity to get you back on a regular basis. You were very generous about waiting until I had an opening here, but I got one this week, and so you came in. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sunday mornings is a pretty good place for Senior Circle. We've been here on the air for 15 years. We started off at 7:30 in the morning, went to 10 to 11, and now with 2 hours, we're from 7 until 9. So we get a little more time to talk with people like yourself to tell us about what's happening. You mentioned in the first first quarter hour that you're from Madison, Wisconsin, but you've moved here within the last 15 or 16 months. You bought the franchise for Senior Helpers, and you have kind of blanketed it out. You've become pretty well known in the 15 months you've been here, right?
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think we've got a pretty good message, pretty good story to tell, and what we do, and been very welcome.
Well, along the lines of the story you had to tell, we mentioned off air here, you were telling me about the training that your people go through. Can I hear a little more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the real key specializations that we do is around Alzheimer's and dementia care. We're fortunate enough to be partnered with a person by the name of Teepa Snow at the national level, and she's internationally recognized as a speaker and a trainer around Alzheimer's and dementia care. And we have 100% of our caregivers go through the training program she developed exclusively for Senior Helpers. And it's really important, something we take a lot of pride in that it's a full day of training. It's instructor-led. I actually teach it myself. So they come in for an entire day, and we learn about how we can help folks with Alzheimer's and dementia. And we make them do role-playing and do examples and exercises. So they don't just get to sit there for an entire day and have me talk at them. I make them get up and practice what we're learning. Did you start as a caregiver, Gil? I actually didn't. I kind of fell into this just through a mutual acquaintance of mine, and it's one of those industries that how can you not fall in love with truly being able to help people? Because especially in our industry with home care, it's not just the seniors that we're helping, but it's the caregivers as well. For many of the people that work with us, it might be a part-time job, or it could be their full-time job as well. But for many, they might be semi-retired. They might be empty nesters where their children are now grown and are looking to give back, and so they're really in it because of the compassion that they have in their heart as well. They're not doing it to become financially rich. They're doing it because they really get something out of being able to help others. So I feel fortunate to be able to help both the people that we're directly helping, our clients, as well as the caregivers that come work with us.
Kind of like radio.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure, absolutely.
Some of us do it for ego. Now, how many people do you have working for you, Gil?
So we have about 45 caregivers right now.
Oh, my goodness. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good-sized organization.
Yeah, for under a year, I feel pretty proud about what we've been able to accomplish in that amount of time. My initial goal was to get about 30 people working with us, and we surpassed that after about 6 months, which has been great.
How did you recruit?
The big thing has been a lot of it is word of mouth. So it turns out that the best people know the best people. You probably come across that in other industries as well. Number one. And number two, we have been fortunate to get a lot of students to come through. So there's folks that are going after a social work degree or a geriatric degree of some kind or even a nursing degree and thought that this might be something to be a good stepping stone toward that. And they've been outstanding. Sometimes we get a bad rap. That the younger generation might get a little bit of a bad rap, but we've had really great success, really caring young folks, some that have decided to even make a major change in terms of what they're studying in school as a result of the work they're doing with us.
Oh, I would think that would be excellent.
Well, I was thinking about Sarah.
Then they can really see if this is what the direction they want to go. If they can work with people, then they can see if they really. Some people wanted to work with geriatrics or not. And some people are cut out for it and some aren't.
Well,
so
absolutely.
You need to know if you are or aren't.
Absolutely.
You remember Sarah Logan?
Yes.
She came and worked for us for about 3 years, but she wanted to go into the dental industry. We had an orthodontic lab at one time. And she came in and applied to come in as an intern, and after 2 weeks, she was doing as much work as anybody in the place, so we put her on salary. But she stayed with us for 3 years, and now she has a very, very successful practice down in Castle Rock. But, that is the direction you're taking with that is really a very logical, as Betty points out. People think that caring for seniors, doing the kind of things that you're talking about doing at Senior Helpers is so ideal, but for them to be able to understand it's really what they want to do, they have to have some hands-on experiences. So you're offering that to them, huh?
Right, absolutely.
Right. Do you have an intern program? Is that what you have?
Well, it's really what's nice is because it can be very part-time. We have the ability to work around people's school schedules, and that thing changes every quarter or every semester. So it's just nice that that's one of the differentiators, I think, as well, is that we work around their schedule. They tell us when they can work. So it's not necessarily an intern program, although we do have the ability to develop that as well. But basically, because they can work weekends or not after school during the day, or if they're only available on Tuesdays and Thursdays or evenings,
or whatever.
Right. Yep. So that provides a lot of flexibility, and then similar thing for, working moms, working dads too, or stay at home moms and dads where the kids are in school. They might only be able to work a few hours during the day, but we can provide that for them as well.
Well, we're going to get a hold of you to talk a little bit more about this opportunity that's out there. It sounds like you have a pretty large net, and there'd be an opportunity for somebody who maybe just wants to investigate what you have to offer over at Senior Helpers. Could you give us numbers again?
Yeah, absolutely. The phone number is 970-658-8228. You could find us on the web as well. It's www.seniorhelpers.com. NOCO.com.
NOCO, right. I saw that. I looked at that yesterday.
Perfect, yeah. So seniorhelpersnoco.com, and you can find information both about becoming a caregiver or if you're interested in learning more about our services.
Which office did you open first, Fort Collins or Greeley?
Fort Collins actually was what we originally came in to cover Larimer County, and then very quickly, actually it ended up only being a few months later that we acquired the rest of northern Colorado, basically Weld County, from a different Senior Helpers owner who still has the Denver area.
Well, what's your address over there in Fort Collins?
Over in Fort Collins, we're at 430 Stover Street, Stover.
Sure, I know exactly where that's at.
Yeah, it's right on the corner of Mulberry and Stover, and so we have a cute little house. I think it's a greenhouse that was built in 1904 or something like that was converted to office space.
Not too far from the library, actually.
Right, yep. Actually, it's walking distance from the library. Yep.
And then here in Greeley, where's your office?
We're actually inside of the Greeley Place Holiday Retirement Community. And so it's 1051 South 6th Street, actually just a couple blocks from here, probably walking distance from here.
We are very familiar with Greeley Place. They have from time to time been sponsors here over the years. And Betty and I have gone over there. I actually have taken a couple of shows over there. We brought in Choice City Singers. We were over there and had some entertainment for them. But Betty's mother had a friend that lived over there for a good long time, and they've been very good friends here of 1310 KFK. Greeley Place is just across from the senior center here, right?
Yeah, it's exactly across the street.
So tell me, what else are you doing in the community here? You mentioned that you do go to the Professionals for Seniors on a monthly basis. I don't think you've missed a single meeting in the last year, have you?
Yeah, between my office partners and me, we try to make sure we get to all of them. Yeah,
when they go around and introduce everybody, I know you've been there almost every time I can remember. But you do a lot of other things here in the community too, because I do run into you from time to time at other events. Tell me about some of the other stuff you're doing at Senior Helpers.
Sure, absolutely. There's a Weld County Senior meeting that meets about once a month as well. There's also a similar one that meets every other month in Fort Collins. It's called Sharing the Care over at PVH Hospital.
Well, you run into Michael Buckley at all of those, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I see him all the time. Yep, absolutely. And then in terms of sponsorships, I mean, we're very involved with the Alzheimer's Association, both in Weld County and in Larimer County. So
we just did the Alzheimer's here at Bittersweet Park last Saturday. I was the host for that.
Okay. Actually, it's coming up this.
No, it was last Saturday. This is Sunday morning now. We're recording on Wednesday.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and it was great for us to have the opportunity to have a booth out there too.
To have you. I should have brought that to your attention. Those of you who've been listening to this show as long as I've been here, 15 years, you know that we record on Wednesday afternoons. But I wanted to point out that the Alzheimer's Association has graciously invited Little Fat Man to come over and be their host this year. So Betty and I had a great time over there. I'm sorry, Gil, I didn't mean to interrupt on that one.
Okay. That's okay.
The whole idea, though, is that you've made yourself visible and you've been a contributor and a participant in all of the senior communities since you've been here.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, because, again, it's a strong community. It's a tight-knit community. We're in the business of helping people. So if we can be involved in sponsoring the walks, both in Larimer and Weld, other activities as well, it's really important to us.
Well, we really appreciate you coming by this morning. Janet Bedingfield's coming in a little while. Would you like to stay a little longer with us if you can?
Sure, absolutely.
I don't know what you have scheduled for this morning, but we'd love to have you stay.
I can't think of anything more important.
Tell us a little more about your personal life. You came over here from Madison, Wisconsin. Do you have a family?
Yep, I've got two daughters, one who just turned 12 a couple weeks ago, and she's a 7th grader now, so a middle school kid.
Yeah.
And I've got a younger daughter as well. Her name is Lucia. The older daughter's name is Sophia. The younger daughter, she's in 3rd grade, and she's 8 years old, and her name is Lucia.
And you live in Fort Collins, so they go to the Fort Collins Fort Collins School District there?
Yes, yep. They're at Cash Laputer Elementary and Cash Laputer Middle School.
Yeah, we're very familiar with those. We've lived there a long time. Gill Atanasoff, we're so happy to have you with us. I hope you're going to stay another segment or two, if you will. He is the owner and executive director of Senior Helpers. We come back, we'll have Janet Bedingfield from executive director of Senior Resource Services. Stay with us if you can. You're listening to Senior Circle on 1310 KFKA. Welcome back to Senior Circle here on 1310 KFK in Greeley, Colorado. We broadcast from the beautiful CRP 4x4 studios at 1310 KFKA. The name of the show is Senior Circle, and my name is Gil Moon. I'm your host for Senior Circle and Golden Years Theater every Sunday evening from 6 until 10. We're brought to you by those wonderful folks at the 50 Plus Marketplace News, the #1 monthly publication for those of us in the over 50 crowd. Fair Acres Manor, right here in Greeley, where they put the home back in nursing home, and Columbine Health Systems, caring for seniors in both Loveland and Fort Collins since 1971, and now open in Windsor at the corners of 15th Street in Maine. Remember, at Columbine, your family. My co-host this hour is Betty Moon, a board member at RSVP of Weld County, and my wife of 52 years. Good morning again.
Good morning, everyone.
We're always happy to have you with us, honey, and thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know how much you've got going on.
Yeah, well.
We appreciate you being here. Gill Atanasoff, we're so happy to have you come here this morning. He's the owner and executive director of Senior Helpers here in Greeley and Fort Collins, northern Colorado, huh?
Yep, thanks for having me.
Well, you had a lot of great information for us. Do you know Janet Bedingfield?
Yeah, we've met a couple times. It's a nice, tight-knit community here in the senior care.
Janet, I'm so happy to have you with us. She's the executive director of Senior Resource Services and a regular guest on this show for coming up on 4 years?
3 years.
3 years, yeah.
3 years. Just over 3 years.
And you are such a hero. We always talk about this. When you did Ride and Revel the second year, this was one of the great events of Northern Colorado.
Oh,
and you did such a wonderful job.
It sure was fun.
We had a great time. I sent pictures out to my sister out in California, and she said, I wish I could have been there. It looked like you had more fun than was Law and Lao.
Maybe she needs to come next year.
We're going to try to do that. She just came back. She took a trip. She'd never had a chance to get out of the... Well, she did go to a couple of places. I'm trying to remember. She went to Hawaii, and she went to a couple of other places when in Germany, because she was with Bacher for a while. But she wanted to see Stonehenge, so she took off and went over there. She and a girlfriend went over, and
that was her number one bucket list.
Kind of like New York
and
was.
she did it. That's good.
Yes.
Kind of like New York was for Betty. Betty got to go to New York last May.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I want to talk about Senior Resource Services. You are, everywhere I go, people are still talking about Ride and Revel.
Really?
What
I
a
love
great
it.
time they had.
Yeah. I'm glad. Our goal isn't just to raise funds. Of course, we need to do that, but we feel like we really need to get the needs of the aging population before the public so that they're more aware. We just need a higher level of public awareness of... I think people who are in that age group tend to stay home and suffer in silence, and I don't think it's that the general public doesn't care. I just don't think they're aware. I think it's not on our radar as a society in general.
Well, in their defense, though, so many people have so much going on in their lives now, and I know, when we were in our 20s, did we really think much about that? I guess Betty and I have done some things over the years in high school, and maybe on occasional had the thing to work in the senior communities, but we really didn't get involved with it until we were edging up on it. But the thing of it is, though, is Senior Resource Services has been around for a while, and the name is starting, it had started already to become noteworthy. People knew about Deanne, and they knew about the things you were doing back in the day when you were putting in smoke detectors and all the things that went with it. But when you really came into your own was when you started giving this ride program. And tell people a little about that, will you?
You bet. What Senior Resource Services does is under the program name 60 Plus Ride, which is new, we provide transportation free of charge to people 60 and older throughout Weld County. And the way that we do that is primarily through volunteer drivers. And they are really the backbone of our organization. We do have, just within the Greeley-Evans area, we do have a minivan, which is driven by staff, and it takes clients from this area to non-medical appointments of all kinds.
And it's really worked out very nicely because so many people, when they, as you pointed out, when they are no longer able to drive, and my father would definitely have been one of them, they just kind of sit home and, wait till there's an opportunity. Maybe they can catch a ride with somebody in the neighborhood, or they can call up their kids or grandkids or whatever. But here's a situation where they can pick up the phone and call you at...
Yes, at 970-352-9348. Again, 352-9348, and that's what we're here for. Our goal is to help those in the aging population remain independent while maintaining their health.
And stay in their homes.
Yes, to age in place, it's called. Yep.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Gill's in the business of doing, too, because Senior Helpers, it helps people to stay in their home. Right?
Absolutely. That's exactly our mission, is to allow people to age in place, stay at home for as long as they can.
I'd like to see you guys exchange cards, too, because I think you have a very, we call it Senior Circle here, and that's the whole idea. But I think there's an opportunity for you both to benefit from a relationship here, so that would be good for both of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I actually have Gil's card. It's just the time to get a hold of him.
Yeah, that's always a challenge.
Well, he's been showing up pretty regularly at Professionals for Seniors. We were there last week. Last week was our 11th anniversary.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, last Wednesday was.
I was in Oregon on vacation, sorry.
Shame on you.
They let you do that?
Did you have a good time?
I did have a good time.
That's what you're supposed to do, to get away and not care about what's happening here for that time
What were you doing
away.
in Oregon?
I had a reunion with 10 girlfriends.
Oh.
And we were at a beautiful home of one of them on the beach near Coos Bay, Oregon. Lighthouse Beach. It was absolutely gorgeous. We had beautiful weather. We had a resident seal that we were worried was very ill and dying, had been there for about a week and a half. And
Did you say seal?
Seal.
Okay.
Harbor seal. And it was really quite an experience. Another seal came out, which we knew it was an adult seal, but we think it was a male that came out of the water because it was so much bigger. And they touched noses. She hadn't been able to move. We named her Ruby. And there she went. After we knew at least a week and a half she'd been there, off she went into the waves and started foraging for food. It was really a miracle. It was really something to watch.
Well, I know absolutely nothing about seals other than, sea lions. We used to see those in San Francisco all the time.
Right.
But Goose Bay, that's one of the most beautiful places, and they have such beautiful sunsets up there. You must have enjoyed a lot of them, huh?
Oh, we did. And it was absolutely, the first night I was there, I was actually up in the valley. It was drizzly, but the rest of the time was beautiful. No huge wind. Everything was just perfect. It was gorgeous. We just went down a set of very steep, long stairs, and we were at this semi-private beach, basically.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a great vacation. Now, that's what it's supposed to be, a vacation.
What did that make you think of, though, up there at Martinez Beach? When Betty and I first got married, I was working at Varian Associates, and we had a group of people that we used to go beach partying about 3 Fridays out of every 4. And we usually stay overnight, and Betty took on the responsibility of making breakfast for everybody, so she'd bring 5 dozen eggs. And
But these people, they kept saying they were going to go out and they were going to get abalone and all this stuff, and I go, well, I'm not really big on fish at all, I'm not. So, and I said, so I brought bacon and eggs and that kind of stuff and potatoes so I could make breakfast.
Sherman breakfast.
And I'm a Midwest girl, okay?
Yes.
Here she is.
I'm laughing because I was in charge of the same thing by default.
18, and I'm 18 years old, and I don't know anything about cooking abalone or whatever they were going to get. And so I'm cooking, and they're all going, gee, that smells really good. And, of course, they didn't get any abalone. And so they said, did you bring any extra? And I said, of course I brought extra.
It was amazing, though, because this was in the day when a lot of young people, and the name Steve Jobs might be familiar, but some of these people would, they were all working for a living. It was before they really had hit their stride and was moving ahead, and we never knew who was going to show up. Wozniak came a couple of times with us, and they were just everyday people, and they made it big, and
they were just geeky guys, okay?
Having fun.
They were not. Yeah, they were just geeky.
You might be surprised,
guys.
though. Varian Associates. I had gone to work for the company that they had purchased. It was the tube division of General Electric, and I had actually signed on to go to work there. But by the time I had come to work for them, about 3 weeks later, they had been absorbed by Varian, and so the next thing you know, that was it. But anyway, it was a good place, a good starting place. We had so much fun. The point I was going to make, though, is that there are so many of those little places, those beach areas, where if you know who is responsible for it, it was a Martinez bar up there.
Yes.
They owned this little piece of this cove there. And we went up there and said, is this going to be a problem for you if we just stay overnight down here? And they said, no, just be sure to turn the lights off before you go to sleep. And so about 2.5 years, we spent a lot of, during the season. It was great.
Well, and now there's the Airbnb, Home Away, the VRBO.
Oh, yes.
Because I think they're just on this little tiny beach we were on of maybe 10 homes. There was, I think, half of them.
Yeah.
You could get to that.
Yeah.
Well, we missed you. I did get your little note when I sent your email out and said that you would be back in touch with us. And I do appreciate you making time to come by with us this morning.
Yeah.
Give your phone number again.
Give
us the phone number again for Senior Resource
It's 970-352-9348, 352-9348, and that number is to become either a volunteer or a client. It's just that simple.
You changed your email, too.
Yeah, well, yes, it is staff@srsweld.com, and that's as in Senior Resource Services Weld.com.
Staff@srsweld.com.
Right.
All runs together, right?
Correct.
I want to get back. Did you know he's from Kenosha, Wisconsin? Did I tell you that?
No.
Okay, we were talking about
world.
Orson Welles. That's where Orson Welles was born. And you remember I used to do Orson Welles.
Yes, I did know
I did that thing. He had some stories. You said you were going to take a look at the park. I'll get you that address too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take some pictures.
But they have
a
tour and it's not really a museum, but you get to go see where the house was. Tell us a little more about. Do you remember much about Kenosha? I said you went to high school there, right?
Yeah, I went to high school there. Really grew up there, and my family still lives there. My mom and dad, my brother and sister are nearby too, so I'm there several times a year.
Did you know
really.
that Orson Welles was born there? Was there anything?
I guess as soon as you mentioned it, it kind of registered. Yeah, I had forgotten, but
I keep threatening to drive up there one of these days to see that place. I really do. We're going to need to take another break here. We're so happy to have with us this morning Gill Atanasoff. He is the owner and executive director with Senior Helpers, and in studio with me is Janet Benningfield, the executive director of Senior Resource Services and a regular guest here on Senior Circle. My co-host this hour is Betty Moon, my lovely wife of 52 years. She is a board member at RSVP of Weld County. Stay with us if you can. We have one more segment this hour. We'll be right back. Circle is the name of the game every Sunday morning here on 1310 KFK. We're on from 7 until 9 a.m. broadcasting from the fabulous CRP 4x4 studios in Greeley, Colorado. My name's Gil Moon. I'm your host for Senior Circle and Golden Years Theater, where tonight we're going to have a pretty good show. I'll read that to you in the second hour, but one of the things I hope you're going to be able to listen to is Phil Harris and Alice Faye's show. This is a real special one because you guys remember his left-handed guitar player that was played by Elliot Lewis. He's going to get his own TV show, and it's really worthwhile to hear. Nevertheless, I want to remind you that we're brought to you by Mosher Funeral and Cremation Services, locally owned and operated, honoring the achievements of your loved ones and celebrating the life you shared together. The Bridge Assisted Living in Greeley, the Goldilocks of assisted living, not too big, not too small, but just right. And Windsong at Northridge. Windsong Memory Care is a brand new Montessori-inspired memory care community right here in Greeley, Colorado. My co-host this hour is Betty Moon, a board member at RSVP of Weld County, and my wife of 52 years. Good morning, Betty.
Good morning, everyone.
We're also joined by Janet Bedingfield, the Executive Director of Senior Resource Services, and something of a local hero. Oh, we just love having you here. Thank you for
having me.
Oh, I'm telling you.
I squirm a little every time you say that.
This has been so much fun. Well, but you know what? I feel a little bit a part of that thing because Betty and I were there for the last 2 years. We did the music and stuff, and we got pictures. Have we got pictures? It was so much fun. We enjoyed that so much.
You should be proud because you did really well.
Thank you. I am proud.
You know, and it was hard work, and you guys did very well. And there's nothing wrong with doing well.
Well, especially when it's to benefit our clients. That's the big thing.
That's it.
Well, and we have for the first time on the show here, we're so glad that he was able to join us this morning, Gill Atanasoff.
Atanasoff.
I got it right 3 times.
You did.
Hey, one time I messed it up. Atanasoff. And you know what? I got to find something as a key for that one. He's the owner and executive director of Senior Helpers in Northern Colorado. Betty, you were wanting to ask something, and I don't remember what it was, but we cut you off in the second segment here, and it was something to do with Gill and the people that he was... I know what it was. It was me. I was going to ask you, are you still looking for people to come to work with you over there at Senior Helpers?
Yeah, absolutely. We're always hiring caregivers, and we're always looking for great people that have the compassion and heart to help.
Go back and tell people because people come and go here. They don't necessarily hear the whole show in one segment. But you mentioned something about the training that you're giving over there at Senior Helpers. Could you go over that again for me, Gil?
Sure. Yep. We really specialize in Alzheimer's and dementia care, so a large contingent of our clients are unfortunately suffering from memory loss, and what we do with our caregivers is the training that we provide is really unmatched out there. We train all of our caregivers instructor-led. I actually do it myself, so it's in person for an entire day, and we learn tips and techniques on how to help those not only just aging, but specifically with Alzheimer's or dementia and other forms of dementia as well. We were partnered with a person by the name of Teepa Snow at the national level.
Yeah, I've heard of her.
Yeah, she's internationally recognized as a speaker and trainer, and we've been fortunate enough to have her be the person that developed the Senior Gems training program for our caregivers.
So if people might be interested in talking to Senior Helpers about an opportunity for a position or actually for availing themselves of your services, is the number the same for them?
It is. Yeah, you can call the same number for that. It's 970-658-8228. Again, it's 970-658-8228. Or you can also visit us on the web at Senior Helpers NOCO, so seniorhelpersnoco.com, and you can find very clear information on becoming a client, as well as becoming a caregiver.
That's a wonderful website. I spent a few minutes on that day before yesterday, and I was really impressed with that. Is that something that came with the franchise, or did you develop that locally?
It is. We have some ability to do certain pieces of it locally, but let's largely develop by our franchise.
Well, I really am glad you came in here this morning, and I hope we're going to be able to get you back on a regular basis. You're very good on the radio, and you really do have a lot of information and wonderful service there.
And if I may say, he has a radio voice.
Doesn't he?
Absolutely.
I think it's the name. It must be the name.
Atanasoff.
I'm just glad somebody's name's harder than mine.
Well, at least it doesn't come in here sounding like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed being here. It's been wonderful.
Well, you're a good guest, so we'll have you back on a regular basis if we get the chance, okay?
That'd be great.
All right. Gill Atanasoff is the owner and executive director of Senior Helpers here in Northern Colorado, and really we're glad to have you with us. Janet, have you got something planned for this next year? Now, you're not going to do any fundraisers until the Ride and Revel next year? Or
we have Colorado Gives coming, which is an online giving on December 4th. We're a part of that. And then we have our Heart to Heart, the Need to Know We're Loved is Ageless, which is what we call a non-event. It's essentially an opportunity to honor and memorialize loved ones through a donation to Senior Resource Services for our 60-plus ride program.
And when is that coming up?
The individual invitations will go out in early January.
Okay.
And then the culmination goes along with Valentine's Day.
I wanted to ask you, just as a bit of business here, this first hour that we have now, is this going to be convenient for you now from now on? Can we just schedule you in for the first hour?
You may, as long as I know and get it on my calendar. I don't have another standing. So.
The other thing I want to talk about is your involvement in the community. Senior Resource Services was a member of the community almost immediately when Deanne was still in here, but you kind of taken it to a little bit bigger side. You're going out and seeing so many different people. Are you available to go out and talk to people about Senior Resource Services?
Absolutely. That's the way it is about serving our clients, but we can't serve our clients if nobody knows what's going on and the needs. And especially since we are so dependent upon volunteers, that's that's through their generosity we're able to offer our services free of charge. So we are absolutely available to go out and present at any kind of civic club, church group, pretty much anywhere we have an opportunity, because unfortunately we haven't had the luxury of recruiting clients. We pretty much look for volunteers and get clients along the way, and we get so many clients through referrals from other agencies and businesses.
So for volunteers and clients, they would call the number?
Yes, the 970-352-9348. 352-9348, and whoever answers that telephone, which is typically only one of two people, but they can give you a hand.
Okay.
Get you started.
Give Flo Mickelson a call, because they have a monthly meeting over here at UCCC, and I bet you she'd love to just have you come in there sometime and talk with them.
Thank you.
Janet, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having
me. I always love having you.
I always love being here.
I would think that she may have several people in her organization that may have need, and Marshall may have the ability to donate some time.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Speaking of donating, let's talk a little about RSVP of Weld County. We didn't really get into it. You guys were doing a shoe gathering thing for a while. I don't know if that's over or not, but are you still doing that?
I do not believe. I did not get to attend the last meeting.
Oh, okay. And
so, but I believe that has ended, and I don't know the outcome of it, but yes, that has ended. So we'll
what do you
see
got coming up?
We have the ugly sweater.
Oh, yes. That's a tradition.
That's what Marcia and I are going to talk about at lunch today.
Well, that's terrific. You ever get a chance to listen to old time radio? I don't know if you're a big fan of that or not, Gil, but you get a chance. You've heard a show.
I have, and I like to listen to the old time music, the music of the 40s.
Oh, yes. I do the intros on that, and I always enjoy being able to get a chance to do this. Betty will tell you I actually started collecting old time radio back the second year we were married, because Betty bought me the Jack Benny Registry of Golden Treasury of Old Time Radio, and we've been collecting since then. But every Sunday night for 4 hours we play from 6 until 10. We play Old Time Radio. We're going to start off tonight, as I mentioned. Earlier I think I said we're going to do Hoagy Carmichael show. This was a thing for the military, the Armed Forces Radio from 1946. The first song's Four Leaf Clover. But Hoagy Carmichael was probably one of the most prolific songwriters of all time, and you might be surprised at some of the great stuff that he wrote. Stardust is the one that everybody knows, but he wrote some wonderful. Do you remember Hoagy Carmichael?
I know the name, but I don't remember.
Yeah, he was a movie star for a while too. He played the piano and did some stuff. He was in one of my favorite movies, The Best Years of Our Lives. Do you remember that film?
I don't. You amaze me with your memory.
Well, I'm old.
And especially,
it's just old.
No, you have that. I have a brother like that. I never play Trivial Pursuit against him.
Oh, first time when I first went to work at Intel, my buddy Wayne was the fellow that hired me, and he and I we could be brothers from another mother, but we used to have a Trivial Pursuit lunchtime thing over at Santa Clara 4. We went over there one time. They let us play on the same team one time. After that, they always split us up. Well, nevertheless, 6:30 tonight, we've got Fort Laramie with the great Raymond Burr from 1956 called Gold. At 7 o'clock, Phil Harris and Alice Faye show. Frankie's TV show. I mentioned this before. Frankie Remley was a character played by Elliot. I just had it a minute ago, didn't I?
Don't look at me.
Elliot
I don't
and
have
Kathy,
your memory.
Oh, jeez. Memory's the second thing to go. Have you got a program for that?
I think we do.
From 1951. Anyway, Elliot Gould. Thank you.
Okay.
No, not Elliot Gould. That's Barbara Streisand's first husband.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you don't want to miss it. It's really good. Theater 5. It was a TV offering that went to radio from 1964 called The New Order at 7:30. 8 o'clock, Orson Welles. We were just talking about him, right?
We were.
The Lady Esther Presents program, and this is a classic. The Apple Tree, this time Geraldine Fitzgerald is starring with Orson Welles in this from 1952. You know, Geraldine Fitzgerald was his next-door neighbor when they lived at Malibu, so they were good friends. Jack Webb's going to present Dragnet at 8:30, The Big Tooth from 1955 at 9 o'clock. Mel Allen and a sports quiz. This is a typical program from 1949. And at 9:30, Suspense. Dan O'Herlihy stars in The Man Who Would Be King from 1959. So join us tonight, if you will, from 6 until 10 for Golden Years Theater, right here on 1310 KFKA in Greeley, Colorado. You know, this has been a wonderful hour. It's just gone by so quickly, Janet. I'm glad you got to join us in here.
Thank you for having me. And it always is wonderful, and it always does go by quickly.
Well, we do have a good time. You know, when we only had an hour, and we only got to talk, for a few minutes together, and then we'd sit here and talk afterwards, and nobody got to hear some of the better conversations. Gil, I know this is your first time on Senior Circle, but have you ever listened to the show before?
I have not, but I'm going to become a regular listener now.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that, and you can listen to it on demand if you wait. This show is broadcast on Sunday mornings, and by Wednesday it'll be on demand. It'll stay out there for about 2 months. I will mention that several of our people in the past who've been guests that have become sponsors, or people who are sponsors, put the recordings on their websites too, so you get a chance to hear them. Thanks so much for being with us. Betty, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
We're always happy to have you. Stay with us if you can. We'll be right back for second hour. So Ann Switzig from the Bridge at Greeley is going to be in with a special guest, and we'll have our visitors, our monthly visitors from the Greeley Senior Center, now called the Active Adult Center. You're listening to Senior Circle on 1310 KFKA, Greeley, Colorado.